On the year, we're down about 5%. If we end below 94K or whatever it is, this will be the first ever red year post-halving. So that would, in turn, end the 4-year cycle for the first time. But we're going to talk about how people are perceiving this. There are naysayers, but there are some people that are incredibly bullish on this. So we're going to investigate why.
One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Mines, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple. One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantmines.com/sessions. Let me break this down for my fellow Bitcoiners. In just 8 weeks, I've seen a serious shift. More strength, more energy, and fast muscle gains. The reason? FITSCRIPT. They ran 124 biomarkers, blood, hormones, inflammation, and built a fully custom plan, nutrition, training, supplements. No guesswork, no templates. This is functional medicine meets precision fitness for high-performing men who want sovereignty over their health. If you care about optimization the way you care about your money, test, don't guess. Don't trust, verify. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to check out FITSCRIPT and see what's possible.
Right now, what a lot of Bitcoiners and, we'll say naysayers on the precious metal side are saying is, well, look at Bitcoin's year. And yes, we had movements. We absolutely did. We started the year at what, like 90 something, mid to low 90s. We got up as high as 124, 125,
I think 126.
126, yeah, at one point. It had a little spike there. But, where are we right now? We're sitting at 88. We're on the year, we're down about 5% on what people typically anticipate to be a bull run year, the calendar year following the halving. If we end below 94K or whatever it is, this will be the first ever red year, a calendar year post-halving. So that would, in turn, end the 4-year cycle for the first time to the downside. But we're going to talk about how people are perceiving this as well. There are naysayers, but there are some people that are incredibly bullish on this. So we're going to investigate why. Again, we said we're down on the year 5% or so, where gold and silver have been taking historic runs.
Yep.
And we were chatting last week on the show, and we pulled up a lengthy tweet from somebody, David, his handle on Twitter, David ENG MBA, and he outlined why he designated December 26th as a very important day for Bitcoin price. There was a bunch of options that were about to expire to the tune of billions, hundreds of millions. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was a lot, much expiry on contracts.
Yeah, and so that day has lapsed. We didn't see significant movement. We seem to still be pinned between the 85 to 90K range. It's just like I saw it pop up. I'm looking at my little brains deck here in the background. I saw it pop up. I'm like, oh, we're getting close to 90. Smack, right back down. Like clockwork, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So let's take a look at what he says post December 26th. No meaningful changes. What the hell is going on? So reading here, David, Tactical delay. Why the failed breakout is actually a more compressed and bullish spring and a path to a year-end 219K. He's obviously referring to year-end 2026.
No, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow, damn it, Ben.
Not tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. So on December 26th, the market expected a massive volatility release as 60%, 327 million of gamma expired. Instead, price remained flat. This was not a failure of the bull market. It was a mechanical repressurization event. Here is the mathematical reason why the market didn't break, why it is currently coiling, and why it leads to year-end 219K 2026, everybody. 1, why the release valve jammed, the great December roll. The volatility explosion failed to materialize for one specific reason. Traders didn't leave the table, they just bought more time. Instead of letting positions expire, which unpins the price, the market executed a massive coordinated roll. The action, institutional players sold the expiring December contracts and aggressively bought January contracts. The result, the dealer, short gamma, exposure didn't vanish. It was simply transferred 35 days into the future. The numbers. The old trap, December 27th, gamma has withered to 17 million, only 6%, 6.8% of the total. The pin is gone here. The new trap, January 30th, gamma has swelled to 93 million, which is 37%. The diagnosis, the can was kicked down the road. The suppression wall that held Bitcoin at 87K in December has been rebuilt at the exact same level for January. Why is this bullish? Paying rent to wait. If the market were bearish or exhausted, traders would have taken the liquidity event on December 25th to cash out. They didn't. Paying the premium. The term structure is that contango, 28% for December and 39% for January. Rolling these positions is expensive. So to continue moving forward, it's very expensive to do so. So the signal, smart money is effectively paying rent to keep their bullish exposure alive. You do not pay a premium to roll a position unless you mathematically expect the eventual breakout to exceed the cost of the roll. The conclusion is that this wasn't a failed breakout. It was a kinetic loading phase. The market is compressing the spring tighter rather than letting it release prematurely. Now, as I was reading this, I was like, why can't they just keep doing this? He addresses that. So why this cannot happen forever? The physics of the pin. What will keep this from happening every month? The market cannot perpetually roll this position. Maintaining a price pin against fundamental inflows requires energy or capital and willing counterparties. The physics of the options market guarantees this suppression mechanism will eventually break. The cost of carry. So the dashboard shows charm exposure at negative 18 million, meaning this is the daily cost of time decay. The holders of these calls are bleeding millions in value every day the price stays flat. Eventually, they are mathematically forced to either exercise by the spot or capitulate, close. Both actions shatter the pin. So the gamma steepening, the wall gets harder to hold. That's the wall of sell pressure, keeping it below a certain level. So as we get closer to January 30th, the gamma curve becomes vertical. The consequence is that today, a $500 move requires moderate dealer hedging. By mid-January, that same $500 move will force dealers to buy or sell massive amounts of Bitcoin to stay neutral. The pin becomes unstable and eventually unmanageable. And so he outlines his path to 226. He says the beach ball effect. I like the analogy. The market feels dead because implied volatility of 28% is crushed, while open interest 276 billion is at record highs. This is the definition of a mechanical coil. This is the internal feeling we've been having all year. The like, why the F is Bitcoin crab walking? When every day, all day we hear there's so much buying, everybody's so greatest Bitcoin, greatest ETF rollout of all time, all of this stuff, sailors smash and buy all the time. Why are we crab walking? So
Yeah, I bought like $100. It should have gone up.
yeah, come on. My $20 DCA didn't make a dent. What? So think of Bitcoin right now as a beach ball being held underwater by a mechanical arm. This is the dealer pin. So the current state, the force down is the call wall at 90,000 caps to the upside. The force up is the ETF inflows, IBIT, FBTC. They're buying the underlying asset. The result is potential energy accumulates. The longer price stays flat while inflows continue, the more violent the eventual snapback. The failure point, January 30th or sooner, when the charm bleed forces the longs to act or the gamma steepening makes the pin impossible to hold, the mechanical arm breaks. He's saying the release 90 to 226K. Stage one would be the squeeze. Breaking 90K forces dealers who are short to panic buy Bitcoin to hedge. This drives price to in and around 100 to 110K within days. So a quick, sudden movement. Stage two, the vacuum, he says above 110K, there's almost no sell side right now. There's no liquidity. It's a big air pocket. Stage three would be price discovery. With the suppression removed, Bitcoin reprices to match the accumulated ETF inflows. The target of 219K aligns with the power law projections of late 2026, accelerated by the catch up from this suppression period. So the final verdict, he says, the December roll brought bears 35 days of survival, but it guaranteed that the eventual move will be vertical. The spring is now more compressed. What I'm going to say is I would not be surprised to see another roll, but I do agree that it can't go on forever. You can't just say this price will stay down forever. It is expensive. So, Nathan, I'm curious your take here.
Well, one, funny enough, because we've been talking about this, like, I haven't been at all emotionally bullish like all year long. It's like, I think it's going to go up near the end, but like I never felt any sort of like, no drive. I don't think I've been as bullish as I am. And it's not from even just reading that. I don't think I've been as bullish as I am currently in probably all the year. I don't know why. There's some heuristic. There's something in the back of my mind that's saying, everyone's bearish. Everyone thinks this is done. This is great. I have seen this movie before. Let's go lower. Let's go harder. Let's go back to 58K. I know exactly where we're rocketing to afterwards. So I agree that there does seem to be this channel forming basically between the call and the put options, that they're really trying to maintain that band and keep those contracts out of the money. I also thought it was very interesting that it was 219K. Like, we're never giving Kaiser 220. It's not happening. We're not doing 220K by end of year for Max Kaiser. It could be 219 just to absolutely bother him and piss him off. This makes sense to me. I cannot give you a bearish case for next year. I can give you a bearish case in the short term in terms of like economic decline, monetary problems like we're seeing in Tehran, we're seeing dollar. So for me, the gold and silver run is reflective of what's coming, that our monetary metals are a flight to safety. They're an insurance for impending chaos, but like it looks like things with even like the US and Russia are getting a little bit better. I'm not hearing about Venezuela right now. We got the new Fed chair coming in. They're talking about like tax paybacks and $2,000 to every new person born in America and 50-year mortgages, and we got the doves taking over. Like, Japan is seeing problems. They're going to turn on the liquidity taps again. I cannot give you a bearish case for next year. I could give you like a neutral at worst, that like nothing happens and we kind of crab walk around the same. But I completely agree that the price action does not feel like Bitcoin price action. And I don't think I do think that we do have some short-term funny business between the biggest players going on at the moment. I'll just put the 219 end of year. Like, yeah, yeah, totally would buy that. I think the best part is that if it's 219 end of year, but it's just that grind upwards with no spike up, I think that would just like bore people to death still. We still might not even see retail show up if there isn't any quote unquote excitement at some point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I wouldn't be surprised to my rational mind keeps on saying like, whatever you believe is going to happen, me personally, whatever I believe is going to happen, the opposite is going to happen. So like, This is just, I'm trying to think what would be the most Bitcoin thing to happen. And, right now, a bull year ending bearish is very Bitcoin.
Yep.
hitting a new, going below previous all-time high on the bear market last time, very Bitcoin. New all-time high before halving, very Bitcoin. And so like this is just a continuation of that crab walk through a supposed bull year and then ending negative, very Bitcoin. Also, a supposed bear year being up significantly would be very Bitcoin. But
Agreed.
in saying that, am I ruining it? I don't know.
It's funny because I feel like the most Bitcoin thing that could possibly happen here is all of that, plus this coiled spring theory from the kicking the can down the road for the contracts, is that you do see a moment where Bitcoin just rockets enough to actually get retail to like FOMO back in, and that's the top for the year. Like retail shows up right at the top of a little bit euphoria, and then okay, let's go reset to maybe where it would have been had there not been this compression.
Hey, you. Yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the